Hello, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy and Passionate World Talk Radio, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. And our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. And, folks, I always have phenomenal guests on my show. I have to say so myself, and I do. And today is no exception. Before I bring my guest on, I'm going to tell you about my guest, but first I will say my disclaimer. The views of the guest may not represent those of the host of the station. With me today, and hopefully I say the name correctly, is Paula Cecchi Dimiglio. She is a leading authority on helping senior leaders make more inclusive decisions for themselves and their organizations, having advised some of the largest for-profit and non-profit companies in the world. An award-winning expert on behavioral and data science, big data, and AI, race and gender, and leadership strategy. She is a graduate of Stanford University and holds dual appointments at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government and Harvard Law School, where she serves as faculty chair of the Executive Leadership Research Initiative for Women and Minority Attorneys. And Paula Cecchi Dimiglio wrote this book, author and writer, Diversity Dividend, the transformational power of small changes to debias your company, attract diverse talent, manage everyone better, and make more money. I want to welcome you, Paula Cecchi Dimiglio. Hopefully I've said your name right. To Chatting with Betsy.
Betsy, this is perfect. You passed the test with a high five.
Thank you
so much for having me today.
Oh, you are welcome, and it is my pleasure and honor to have, I believe, Paul, this is my opinion, to have a strong woman, a role model. And I believe that is you. You wrote this phenomenal book to help people, to help companies. And my first question is, I always ask all the authors, is what motivated you to write this book, which I think everyone in the business world needs to read?
First of all, thank you. And yeah, I think it's a very important topic, and the book provides solutions to organizations in the public sector, but also in the private sector regarding to their talent and diversifying their talent. What inspired me to wrote this book is the need to provide, to, I will say, to the rest of the world, solution. I'm not the only one in this field, and we see so often people who struggle with, what do I need to do here? And, science, I'm a strong believer in science, and science, when you inform your decision and when you try to implement them in organization to see if you're getting the expected outcome, and if not, you can change a course more rapidly. So that's the number one reason, providing tool to organization to provide solution for diversifying their talent. That's number one. And the number two, I will tell you, you talk about role model. I don't think I would have been able to do the career I have done in my life without strong women around me. The first one is my mom. But also other women like Amy Emerson, Iris Bonet, Eleanor Ostrom, among others, who have been, believing in me more than 20 years ago and helping me to continue despite setback to pursue this career and making sure that I'm helping leaders to find solutions to diversify their talent.
That's beautiful, Paula. But what you just said, all we need sometimes is someone to believe in us, someone to see something in us that we don't see in ourselves, and to mentor us. so we can improve and grow and have the confidence. And you just put it in a nutshell, and it's so true. I never had that in the workplace until I came to Passionate World Talk Radio. And Lillian Cauldwell, who's the CEO, and Jeanne White, who's station manager, saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I never had that in a workplace before. And I think that's so important in a workplace environment to see the potential in your staff and to encourage them to reach their full potential.
This is definitely something extremely important to have, because this is, I think we spend so much time at work. And if you are not happy, it is difficult to perform a task in the best way you can. If you are all the time under a threat of not being appreciated, or if you don't see possibility of growing. And so having the opportunity to have mentor and sponsor providing you avenue of thinking, maybe sometimes outside the box, to allow you to rebound from some setback that we always have in our career, are the guiding light to, I will say, I think, happiness more than anything else at work. That's
very true. And I've talked to people on the show, in the business world, and there's a saying that a former pastor of church used to say, and you could tell me if you agree with it. My pastor would say, everything rises and falls on leadership, because the management or the leaders of that company and how they are, it does. How they run their company, how they treat their employees. How do you feel about that, Paula? Would you agree with that or not?
The commitment of agreeing with a statement is not mine. I will say leaders play a very important role in an organization. They are the one that people look up. They are the one who have, generally speaking, set up a purpose for the organization, the direction, and the tone that they will address their employee when they have a whole-hand meeting, or, just running into an elevator with somebody else will definitely impact how an organization will perform and the people inside it. Do you feel welcome? Do you feel included? Do you feel that you belong, that there is a family around you that have your back when you perform your task, when you're going to do what is meant for you to do within this organization, making sure that you're going to be successful and not, I will say, stab you in your back, is extremely important. And leaders set the tone. There is no doubt about that.
Yes, I agree. To me, as a former employee of many different places, I think that, in my opinion, when someone in management is so quick to criticize someone for thinking outside the box or having a different way of doing things but still achieving the goal, it's very difficult for that employee, because if you think you're going to get berated and ridiculed, it does affect your mental and emotional and health. It just affects your health all the way around. And, there's a way to do to correct a person, right, if they make a mistake. And there's a way, not to do that, which reminds me of when I was working in nursing, and this one nurse on daytime, I worked nights, she didn't like me for whatever reason. She did not like me. And she would give me a hard time with report all the time. And so I went to the head nurse, and I said, listen, instead of talking about me that I'm not doing something right, isn't it your job to sit me down and show me how to do it right? So I said, you could sit down. You show me how I'm supposed to give report since I'm not giving it correctly. That shut them up. But she, gave me some examples. And I was doing that. It's just a matter of, when you have two people who just clash. And then, you had that also where the head nurse or maybe someone in management and that person you don't get along with are buddies and you're not. And I just think that people in leadership need to be objective, even if the person is your friend and you socialize with them and one isn't, that you can't let that cloud your judgment. But I'm digressing here.
No, because but you're actually touching on the point that is extremely important. The first one is,
thank you.
If you, I will say that I don't think there is one way to do any type of work. I think there are ways. And I think it is extremely important because you may take 100 people in the room, you may give them the similar task, and everybody will do things differently. That's actually our strength as a human being, right? That we have so many ways of thinking. So that's number one. The number two, it is extremely important to have a leadership who is able to sit down and say, well, this is something that I was expecting you to do in this way, and this is the reason why I was expecting you to do it. And that is good leadership, because if you have someone just sitting down and not telling you and just blaming you, that's not the right way, I think, to create an atmosphere where everybody feels safe. And number three, in the work environment, this is not always an easy path, because you may encounter some people that you are right, who are put in your path and may not be your best friend, but with who you may have different point of view. And as such, is having a leader who is capable of managing those moments where the relationship is not your best friend, but with who you're working, but creating an environment despite having those situation, being able to perform when a situation is required. And I think, in your case, what you were mentioning, when you're in a situation with a patient, you cannot let your emotional stress come in if you don't like someone, because at the end of the day, you're treating patients. And this is extremely important to you putting yourself above others. You have to be the responsible person in the room, especially when you are in charge of helping other people in a hospital. And so, as I said to you, I'm a huge fan to nurses and doctors and to the entire medical world, because I think without them, we will be missing a big part of what is possible in our life.
Yes, that's true. I'm going to be all over the place, Paula, with this interview, because that's how my mind is. Maybe I have undiagnosed ADHD. I just go from one topic to the other. But, in your book, you talk about diversity and inclusion. And I live in New Jersey, and I live in a very diverse area, extremely diverse, all, ethnic people all around. And talking about leadership, it was embarrassing. I worked in a preschool, which was my last job. And we have a large Asian Indian population where I live. And the former director, she used to say all the time, I know she didn't think anything of it, but we did. She would say, you people are this, you people are that. And she got away with it until a situation happened at work. Now, if someone wants to socialize out of work, I don't care. I never cared what people did outside of work. It's not my business. It's what's inside work. And what happened was, I think you might like to hear the story because you're a lawyer and you're this is kind of your field. One of the employees got engaged, and so the Indian women took her out to eat, to celebrate. I wasn't invited. I didn't care. I couldn't go anyway. Well, some of the employees were infuriated because they weren't invited. Come Monday morning, the director made people cry because they weren't invited, because she wasn't invited. She tore into them. It was such a disgrace. It made me upset. And, one of the women apologized to me, and I said, you have nothing to apologize to me for. You didn't hurt me. I'm not insulted. What you do is your business outside of these walls. And what happened was they had a luncheon. We had a luncheon. I gave my money. I didn't think anything of it. And I said, Crystal, how come there's no vegetarian food here? She said, because the women weren't invited. She excluded on purpose these Indian women. And they felt very bad. Now, this is something in a workplace. I hope this doesn't happen anywhere. I was upset because I didn't know. As usual, I'm oblivious. I just do my work. I didn't know what was going on. And I told these women, I said, I had no idea. Why would I ask? I gave my money like I always do. And to find out that they were excluded, I was heartbroken. I sat in my car and cried. I know what it's like to have prejudice. I know what it's like to see bigotry. And I would never do that to anyone else. And then one of the employees, who's a sister of the owner, she said to her sister, you better get over here because you could get sued. You could get sued. And the director, when she was called out on the carpet for her prejudice and bigotry, she got mad and she quit. Situations like this, Paul, I'm sure happen a lot. This is downright discrimination, isn't it? Where someone can get sued. I mean, that should not be taken lightly to do something like that.
So I will not speak as a lawyer, despite being one, and on that, because I don't have all the facts of and the entire situation. But if we take a step back overall, where you are part of a situation where one person with who you have been working is excluded due to his gender or ethnicity or religious belief and so on, this is, I will say, not only legally, but as well morally, something that no one should be doing. That's the reason why we have a framework of law around it, to be able to see when situations are outside the law and when someone has done something that should not be done. So I think it is a situation that you have illustrated that may happen in a way, but also have happened to other people in a different context. And I'm a strong believer that one day you may be part of a group, but another day you may be the outsider. You may be part of that outside group, and suddenly you finding yourself being a minority. And I don't think anyone in any type of situation like to be excluded. If we look, as we'll say, as a childhood, everybody want to be invited to the birthday party. And I think
right.
When you are adult, that's also something where you want to make sure that you are inviting everyone, despite them not being able to come or having different type of, belief, but also custom or social norm. So I think this is something extremely important, being conscious of how around you're setting up everyone to be part of the party that you may organize.
Exactly. Yes. That was the point. And, of course, I didn't get called into the office because I wasn't part of that nonsense. I was caregiving, at the time, and that was not important to me. And people would say, Betsy, how come you're not upset about that you weren't invited? And I said, listen, I have more important things. My husband's brain is dying. Do you think I care about a party? I don't care. You could have taken her to Taj Mahal. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And I said just downright, you know what? What people do outside of work, it's none of anyone's business. It's no one's business. But what happens inside work and how we treat each other, that's what's important. That's when it becomes my business. We shouldn't be treating each other like this. I'm from the 60s and 70s, Paul. I'm a baby boomer here, where, I believe in peace, love, and brotherhood. Why can't we just be adults and enjoy a celebration of somebody being engaged, and put aside pettiness that you weren't invited to something. Who cares? But that's how I feel. And as a baby boomer, Paula, I'm not familiar till I was reading your book about onboarding. I never heard that term before. Can you explain to the audience what that is?
Yeah, sure. First, I should say that you're bringing just one important point is we are witnessing right now in the United States, in Europe, and I will say more generally speaking in all Western culture, a tremendous change in organization related to age of talent in it, because we have 4 generations all working together at the same time. So that's something that never happened before. Set aside what is the onboarding, and you're completely right, because not the baby boomer were not used to that term. Onboarding means that the organization conscientiously organize when the individual join for the work to prepare them for the task at hand. That notion of onboarding goes from day one, giving you, here is a list of people with who you're going to work and their cell phone, and the type of, help that they can provide, to moving further away 24 months down the road, making sure that you have been provided with all the resources that are necessary for you to be successful at your work. So the onboarding process is bringing someone up to speed, providing them the tool that will help him to be successful in his career.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. What happened? So is it more like a intense orientation? Because back in the day, we used to call it orientation.
An intense orientation, except that I will say that the onboarding is nowadays, compared to orientation, set up in a way that is considering where the person is coming at work, the level, the education, and what is the trajectory that is expected of that job in the next year, 2, 5, 10, whereas orientation was originally providing information to help in the short term. The onboarding process is something that considers the long-term impact as well.
Okay, so that must cost the company a lot of time and money to invest in someone.
Well, every company are investing a huge amount of money in attracting and recruiting talent. Bringing them on board is extremely important for several reasons. The first one, my work have led me to witness via the use of data, via the use of AI, that candidates, when they are joining an organization, know very quickly if they will stay or not. And so when you think about onboarding someone, you want to make sure that you are creating a fertile soil for them to be successful. Because if within 24 months they are leaving, the cost is just exponential, because you have trained this person for 24 months. Now they're leaving. You need to find somebody else on the market. And the resource in time, in finance, and in HR to refound the same person that you have trained for 24 months is just gone. And so I will say oftentimes the onboarding process is part of, I will say, the whole employee cycle that is oftentimes underestimated. And I will say every company that I've seen who are doing a very good job in onboarding are the ones who are very good with the retention of their employee overall.
Well, that would make sense. I don't know if they have onboarding in nursing now, because back in the old days, you just, worked with someone for a week or two, and I'm going, way back, because they would literally throw new graduates on the floor. And I think if there was onboarding with nursing, I think that would help a lot, along with other suggestions I could give, but I'll refrain. But I think that's very important, to prepare someone for them to know their job. I know you talk about science in your book and AI. How do you think AI will affect in picking out employees? Do you think they'll use AI instead of a human to go through the resumes?
Well, so I think, AI has been part of what we refer to as people analytics for the last 10 years. The use of AI, I will say, in the work environment become more present in the last year. I don't think AI will be an evolution that we will need to have and to help employees to embrace to be successful at work. There is already numerous studies showing that when you're helping an employee to understand AI and how that will help him to perform his job, you're actually helping him to improve his performance, not only in terms of time, but also in terms of output and in terms of satisfaction with, I will say, the customer, but also another type of satisfaction is the personal satisfaction that you are able to empower yourself with the adaptation of new technology. So there are several elements where I think a lot of people are asking, is AI friend or foe? Well, I will say I think it's a friend that initially may have been seen as a foe, and we need to learn how to live together to make sure that we are creating this symbiotic relationship, because we are just at the beginning of, I will say, a transformation, a new era happening. There is one element that I'm extremely outspoken about. My first article on AI was in 2014, and at that time, I remember a lot of people telling me, "What are you talking about? What is AI? Like, you are living in the future that is not there." And I said to them, with AI is you have to think it's the same opportunity that what we had with the World Wide Web. Back in 2000, we didn't think that it will change the world. I remember very vividly back in the 90s when I had my first, vision of what the web could be and an understanding of how much things will change to it. But my point is, with AI, we have an opportunity to not reproduce the biases who have crept in the World Wide Web. The opportunity is that we need to bring a lot of creators of AI and beta testing, people who are using and saying, hey, here is a bias that I can see or that I'm experiencing. And I will give you one very simple example. You may have had with, certain type of email, the system of autocorrection. And so, for example, my name is Paola, and automatically the AI behind it corrected to Paolo, meaning putting me to another gender. I was suddenly turning to masculine first name and not a feminine first name. And that simple bias came from something very simple. The data set, meaning all the information that I have created this AI, was originally biased. There were very little feminine words, and suddenly the model pick up that is Paolo and not Paola. And so I would like to think that we have a chance nowadays to not reproduce early mistake we have done with AI, and that we are bringing a new opportunity to reduce biases and not exacerbate them.
That's interesting. I have to talk to you about diversity and inclusion. Many years ago, and it still might be like this for all I know, but many, many years ago, there were companies who did not hire people based on their color, their religion. You couldn't even it was known you couldn't get a job somewhere because, just say, of being Jewish. There were certain companies that would not hire you. Certain companies wouldn't hire you if you were African American. I know that's changing now, and I would hope so. What can companies do to make people feel welcome, whether it's gender, I think soon to be 2024, I can't believe it, that you would think people would be, more accepting of people's, religions, ethnic, sexual orientation. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them but it doesn't mean that you have a right to discriminate against them and be bullied to them. How do companies try to, say to their employees, you're welcome here. We want a diverse company. We want to have people who represent our community, which is very important. Because there's no, this might sound really far out for me to say this, folks, but I'm just going to say it because I'm from New Jersey. There really isn't any more 100% lily white communities. And if that's what you're looking for employees, you need to change. I'm just going to say that because I'm very blunt. People need to change their way of thinking. From medical research down to, hiring, we need to include everybody. So I had to get off my chest.
No, and I think you touched on the critical point. I can't, something that I'm extremely proud of to some extent. I'm a first-generation American, and something that I think is absolutely amazing about the United States is the melting pot that we have, the richness, I will say, the of culture, of diversity all around. And I think it is impossible for an employer to not have that being reflected internally with their talent, because this is what makes America something unique, where everyone have that opportunity to meet somebody from a different religion, somebody from another ethnicity, from another background. And I just think that is incredible. Set aside, what can employer do? So I think there are, if I were to put 3 points The first one is when they advertise, making sure that they have the opportunity to reach a larger audience, meaning going outside of their comfort zone. And such example of recruiting in a specific area, maybe think about sending a postcard in a more diverse area about that job and making sure that you're advertising that job in that area. In terms of recruitment, I will say making sure that, for example, with a tool like AI that you are using, there is no discrimination happening, and that what you are using are actually tools who are helping. In the recruitment, I will say making sure that every of the person in the recruitment process, as soon as he has seen a candidate, start rating them, and then comparing them after the end of the day. That, I think, is extremely important, not to defer the decision. And the third one, in terms of promotion, think that everybody gets tired and that we don't make the same decision or the same type of decision regarding the candidate who has to be promoted, depending on the time of the day. And as such, being able to keep your hard decision for morning, when you are assessing who should be promoted, I will say is a good advice.
That's a very good advice, Paula. And there's so much more to discuss here, folks, but time is up. I love talking to you. I could talk to you for probably a couple of more hours about your book and, just diversity and inclusion. Just for a minute, well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. There's people that would say, oh, but it's swung to the other way now. Now people are getting hired even if they don't qualify, but so a company can make their quota. What would you say to that, Paul?
Well, you're touching a very important point, which is the polarization that we are currently seeing. And as well, I will say diversity fatigue that has also been observed. And what I will respond to them is, well, I do think talent is equally distributed across race and across gender. Will not be considered fair if someone was running with 10 pounds in his shoulder and you consider that it's normal for him to pass and jump many hoops just to get to one job who is similar, where the other person just have, a pass who is laying with all the door being open. Well, I do think that here we need to pause and say, well, everybody has to run the same race. And it is extremely important to be able to see when the system who have been in place are actually putting more burden on accessing position than on certain type of people than they are on others, because this inequality in the system is real. And so it is extremely important to make sure that we can rectify it.
Thank you. Excuse me. Where can people buy your book, Paul?
Everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, Goodread, please, Goodread and Amazon review are always welcome after you have purchased the book. But also you can find the book on the MIT website, who have all the resellers who are working with MIT to provide the book to the larger audience that we can in the United States and I will say in the world.
And how can people communicate with you or connect with you?
So there are 3 ways. The first one is my personal website, where people in my team will respond to you. And this is paolacecchidimeglio.com. There is also my LinkedIn and my Twitter account, which is @HLSPaola. And I will feel free to reach. I will always respond to you, even if sometimes it may take time. I promise I'll always respond.
Oh, I'll have to look you up on LinkedIn. I'll have to connect with you. I'm on LinkedIn, so I don't have Twitter or what's it called now? Tweet X. I don't even know what it's called anymore.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting me just right there. You may change a brand, but the consumer is still associating with the original name. So yeah, it's still Twitter for me.
I want to thank you so much for coming on. Folks, you know, this is going to be 2024, which I cannot even believe. And, you know, I'm from the 60s and 70s. I really want to see people getting along instead of showing that they can't get along. We need to have peace in the workplace, in our neighborhoods. But I want to thank you for coming on. Okay, I'm going to try to say your name without goofing it up. Paolacecchidimeglio.
Thank you so much, Betsy, for having me.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Her book, Diversity Dividend, The Transformational Power of Small Changes to Debias Your Company, Attract Diverse Talent, Manage Everyone Better, and Make More Money. Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, because I am a Jersey girl, anyone who's in the business world should be reading this book. I feel, in my own opinion, this book should be in colleges. This should be part of a business course to read. That's how I feel about it. And I would definitely highly recommend reading this book. If even if you're not in the business world, everyone who goes out into the work environment should be reading this book, but especially those in management and CEOs. But I want to thank you again, Paula, for coming on, chatting with Betsy, and good luck to you in your book and your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Folks, I want to thank you all for listening. And if you don't already subscribe to Chatting with Betsy, I recommend that you do so. It is for free. I'm on iHeart, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube. I have phenomenal guests on. I learn from every guest, and I know you will too. And I want to thank you all for listening to my show. And I want to thank Jeanne White, who's station manager. She will does the blog and produces the show, and information about Paula will be in the blog. Suggest that you read it. And I want to thank Lillian Cauldwell, who's CEO of Pastoral Talk Radio, who makes this all possible. And if you want to follow me, I am on Facebook, Betsy, Betsy, Wurzel, Wurzel. Check out Facebook. I just posted pictures of yesterday, would have been my 43rd wedding anniversary. And you can see pictures of my life. But mostly you will see me advocate for Alzheimer's. And this month, November, is National Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Please check with your primary care if you are having memory issues. And it is also National Family Caregivers Month. If you know a caregiver, please honor them. Please do something special for them. They deserve it. And I want to thank every caregiver who hears this show. Thank you. Post-caregivers, present caregivers, and if you haven't already been a caregiver or are a caregiver, you will be. You will definitely will be. And if you need a support group, I have one. #Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement on Facebook. I welcome all dementias. Everybody is welcome to join the support group. And no one should ever walk this journey alone during caregiving or after. And this is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate Rural Talk Radio, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. As I always say at the end of my show, folks, in a world where you could be anything, please be kind, shine your light bright, because we sure need it. Chat again soon. Bye-bye now.